Yo, what's up guys? It's me, everyone's least favorite YouTuber, back with more of my dog shit opinions. I'm going to be talking about the MCU. Some of you might think this is silly considering that there was only 4 projects released last year. 3 if you don't count What If. But I figured, hey, it's tradition at this point. I did it in 2022, I did it in 2023, or I did, rankings for those years, rather. So I figured, this is just keeping in with tradition. This is probably going to be my shortest ranking yet. So I have decided to include What If. Technically, it does not take place in the MCU because, it's about alternate universes. But as you'll see later this year with certain projects, just because it doesn't take place in the MCU, sometimes they still call it an MCU, they still call it MCU. They're doing that with Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man this year and Marvel Zombies, even though those don't take place in the MCU. I don't really understand it. I don't know why they're being called MCU projects, but What If is another one of those. It's called an MCU show, even though it obviously does not take place in the MCU. So I find that weird, but whatever. I'll still rank it. It makes the ranking longer. If I didn't include What If, then this ranking would just be like top 3, and it just wouldn't be that interesting. So, I'm adding What If, makes it more interesting. Now, 2024 has been really bad for the MCU. MCU fans have been wanting quality over quantity lately, but in the case of 2024, well, we didn't get quantity and we didn't get quality. We got neither of those things because we didn't get that many projects, and the projects, in my opinion, just weren't that great. In fact, the project that is in my #1 spot, I gave it a 6 out of 10. That is the highest. Well, okay, technically it's not the highest. I'll get into it, but, the point is, I gave it a 6 out of 10, the project that's in the #1 spot this year. And that's, that's not really a great sign. So, with all that being said, I think it's pretty obvious what's at the bottom. But number 4, the worst project of 2024 is What If Season 3. I know. Fucking mind blown. This is the worst project. What a surprise, I gave this a 3 out of 10. Haha, Season 3, a 3 out of 10. But I really, really did not like this. I'm not going to go into it. I made a very long review of it, recently, so... but all I'll say is this. I think this has the worst batch of episodes. This is by far the worst season. Completely fucked Spider-Man in the ass. Gave us literally 1 episode that I liked. Well, kind of 2, but, there was only one that I thought was great, and that was What If Red Guardian Stopped the Winter Soldier. That episode was great. The rest of it was either just whatever or straight up trash garbage. I cannot believe that they would waste their final season on some of this trash. The final 2 episodes are not even a What If concept. It's just the Watcher and more Captain Carter, and then the other 6 episodes are just kind of range from, like I said, 1 great, average, and then the rest are pretty much just bad. So yeah, the worst episodes of the show are in this season, and I didn't think that you'd be able to make a worse episode than Party Thor and that crap. What If Zombies? I know, controversial opinion. I know a lot of people did like What If Zombies. It's one of the reasons why we're getting Marvel Zombies this year, but I personally did not. I'm a Spider-Man fan, I'm a Spider-Man fan, and they just treated Spider-Man horribly in that episode. That was the only episode he ever appeared in. Rambling aside, What If Season 3 is awful. It is just terrible. What a waste of a final season. So what is in my number 3 spot? Now, some of you may be surprised. If you've seen my Agatha All Along video, you might think that Agatha All Along is number 3, but it's not. Number 3 is Echo. I know. Just like all of you, I completely forgot that this show even existed. But yes, Echo. Now, going back to what I said earlier, I wanted to make sure of what rating I gave all of these projects, so I went back and looked, and I assumed I would give Echo like a 6 out of 10. I thought I gave it a 6 out of 10. It turns out no. I gave it a 7 out of 10, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, no, that does not make sense to me. I do not stand by that now. I was very surprised. I was probably more forgiving when it first came out, but now, no, I would give it a 6 out of 10 now. Echo is not a show I want to go back to. I think it has some good scenes with the Kingpin, and it has some really good action, especially towards like the beginning. I think it's the first episode was with, first of all, Daredevil, which, great. That was a good scene. But there's also good action just with Maya. And, but other than that, I mean, oh God, this show is just not... The way Kingpin is defeated with, like, spiritual powers, I think that's just kind of silly. I think Alico Cox, I think that's her name, she does a great job as Maya. I don't really care about a ton of the characters, and it just does not make good use of the TVMA rating. But yeah, I don't even know what to say for this show. It's nothing. Very, very down the middle, 6 out of 10, what I would give it now. At number 2 is Agatha All Along. Now, I should probably address the elephant in the room. My review of Agatha All Along, it is my most disliked video ever. In my entire history with YouTube, Agatha All Along, my review, is my most disliked video. And why, you ask? Well, I'm still trying to figure that out myself. Look, I did not like it as much as the majority. I went against the popular opinion, which is something that I do quite frequently. So, number one, that happened. And, the reaction to this video has been fucking crazy. I mean, I personally don't get it. I really think that a lot of the reaction is very, it's an overreaction. I think it's a huge overreaction. You can't see the number of dislikes anymore, but I'm perfectly fine with sharing it with you. It has 30 dislikes last time I checked. It is my most disliked video, like I said. I did not anticipate this, I thought, I'm going to make a video. I know a lot of people are liking it. This is what I thought of it. And then by the way people were reacting, you think that I, killed a puppy on camera. It's crazy to me. I mean, I like I said, people in the comments are just like freaking out, and I didn't like it. I didn't hate it. Again, a lot of people are acting as if like I completely fucking like this show is shit. There's nothing good about it. I don't understand why people like this show. But I never said any of that, and I don't think I came across as, me saying, if you like this show, then you're an idiot, and I'm right, you're wrong, I think people are forgetting, I praise the show. I had criticisms for it, but again, it's not like I completely shit on the show. I praised Aubrey Plaza as Death. I praised the design of the Witch's Road. I praised the ballad, the Witch's Road ballad that they all perform as a band. I praised episode 7 as an episode in its entirety. But like I'm a monster because I just think it's hilarious to me. I gave it a 6 out of 10, which it's not the highest score ever, but I've certainly given lower scores before. Venom: The Last Dance I also didn't like, but I had praise for that too. But I gave it a 5.5, I think. Or a 5. I think it's a 5.5. But, I gave Agatha All Along a higher rating because I felt like it was deserving of a higher rating. I could have easily given Agatha a 5 or a 4, but I didn't because I don't think it deserves a score that low. I gave it a 6 out of 10 because, I have to acknowledge that effort was put into this show. There is people that are putting effort into this show. Yes, I criticized it. Yes, I don't like it as much as a lot of people did. But again, I really just do not understand the reaction to this because it's like I think people are blowing it way out of proportion. Oh, also something else is that people seem to be taking the whole "why does this exist" question very seriously, and I don't understand why, because to me it was obvious that it was a rhetorical question. People were acting as if I'm genuinely wondering, and I don't know why this exists, why Agatha All Along exists. I wanted to mention that because I've never had a video receive this type of reaction. Look, I've gotten hate before. I'm not saying I've never gotten hate before. Certainly I have in the past. I've gotten videos that have gotten quite a few dislikes, but I have not gotten a video to the level of this reaction before. And look, I'm not saying everyone in the comment section is wrong. I'm not trying to say that, you have no right to feel the way you do. I will acknowledge that some of the people in the comment section do make some good points that I agree with. There's people in the comment section, some of what they're saying I do agree with. But then you got just people who are just saying, I didn't like it. Or, another unpopular opinion on Agatha. People calling me the R word, again, you'd think that I did some evil shit, but all I did was, I gave a 6 out of 10 to some dumb comic book show. It's a friggin' comic book show, and people are just they're not happy with my opinion. So I find it funny. I wanted to basically just make this spot in the ranking just pretty much dedicated to the reaction. Like I said, I don't think Agatha All Along is one of the worst MCU shows. It's better. I liked it more than Echo. Compared to, Echo and especially What If Season 3, Agatha All Along looks pretty good in my eyes compared to those two. So I just wanted to say that. I praise the show. I don't think this is bad, but I just did not like it as much as a lot of people did. A crime, I know, so I'm sorry, but that's what I think. And after this reaction, I just kind of sat there and thought, well, shit. I mean, if they're that upset over my opinion on Agatha, just wait till they hear my opinion on Deadpool Wolverine. And number 1, the best MCU project of 2024. Most of you will not be surprised by this. It is Ketchup and Mustard. Ketchup and Mustard is my favorite MCU project. Now, with that being said, I gave this a 6 out of 10. I gave this a 6 out of 10. I did not hate Deadpool Wolverine. I want to make that very clear. I did not hate it. Before you go into the comment section and be like, you fucking hated Deadpool Wolverine, R word, this guy, hates everything. I did not hate this movie. I just do not think it's great. There's a huge difference. I kind of want to go into spoiler territory, talk about more spoilers, because in my review I kind of left some things out due to spoilers. But now that's been, it's been 6 or so months since the film came out. I want to go into more specifics about what I liked and what I disliked. So first of all, the comedy, I still think the comedy is very hit or miss. I don't think this is like the funniest movie ever. I don't think any of the Deadpool movies are the funniest. I don't think the Deadpool movies are the peak of comedy. I'm sorry. And you know what? There is actually a lot of people who agree with me. I think Deadpool is a very polarizing movie. I think it's very split with a lot of people, because there's a lot of people who think Deadpool is hilarious, but then there's a lot of people who think Deadpool is kind of annoying, and they think Ryan Reynolds' style of comedy is annoying. And honestly, I can see both sides. If you are someone who thinks Deadpool is hilarious, I get it. If you are someone who thinks Deadpool is annoying, I get it. I've heard people say they love Deadpool, they think Deadpool is annoying. And, because I can see both sides, that's why I say the comedy is very hit or miss in this film. There's jokes in this film that are genuinely funny. Then there's jokes that are way too predictable, so you don't laugh because you saw it coming like a mile away. And then there's jokes that are just like cringy. Now, in terms of comedy, I did like a lot of it actually came from Nicepool, the Deadpool who's just Ryan Reynolds without his makeup and long hair, and with his golden pistols that Deadpool wants. I actually thought that they did a lot of the comedy they did with him was actually pretty funny. I especially love near the end where all the Deadpool variants are coming out, and he uses Nicepool as like a human shield. So he's like using himself as a human shield. And I love like that Nicepool just has this fucking cheesy grin while bullets are being just loaded into him, and Deadpool's like carrying him. It's funny. It gets me every time with his grin. And then, he's like, how long does it take you to regenerate? Regenerate? Like, and he's smiling the whole time. It's so funny. And then his fucking head explodes, like, you're gonna live. And then his head explodes. Oh, he was so afraid. I could taste his final thought. But he died a hero. And then Wolverine, he died for murder, you dumb fuck. I love the opening scene of the movie with Bye 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 playing and Deadpool like killing TVA agents and dancing while the credits are playing. I love that opening. That's great. So there is jokes that I do think are funny, but like I said, I mean, there's a lot of just cringy jokes that like don't work for me or too predictable. But first, I will say, I still stand by the fact that the reveals of a lot of the cameos are cringy as fuck, and they do not hold up on multiple rewatches. However, I do like the characters they did bring in. And again, I'm going to talk about spoilers now. So, first of all, Johnny Storm, Chris Evans as the Human Torch. That's fucking amazing. I loved that. And he was the only cameo that did not have a cringy reveal. He actually had a great reveal, with you thinking that he's just Captain America, and then boom, flame on, he's the Human Torch. So that was a good reveal and a great character to come back. Then you have the others. Jennifer Gardner as Elektra, which it's like, okay, whatever. And then you have Wesley Snipes as Blade, which was pretty fucking cool. Again, cameo is kind of cringy because he walks in all macho. But, Blade, that's pretty fucking cool. But then you have the best cameo in the entire movie. Reveal is cringy, but like I said, the best character to bring into this movie. Channing Tatum as Gambit. And I was in the theater, I was like, holy shit, they actually did it, like after 10 years. So for those of you who don't know, this cameo, this is not just cool because it's Gambit. It's cool because it's Channing Tatum as Gambit. That's what makes this cameo cool. It's not the character that makes it cool. It's the actor Channing Tatum that makes it cool, because Channing Tatum has been wanting to make a Gambit movie for over 10 years now. Fox has been trying to make a Gambit movie starring Channing Tatum, but it was in development hell for years and years, and it just never came out. And he finally got to play Gambit, and I just think that's so cool. And there's lines that he says that I think are cool too. The void is, the place where the TVA just dumps you off because your universe is dead. Which explains why Jennifer Gardner's Elektra is there and why Wesley Snipes' Blade is there. Their universes are dead. They're not making movies about them anymore. Elektra came out in 2005, never got a sequel. The last Blade movie came out in 2005, I think. Blade Trinity. That was fucking awful. I haven't seen it. I've heard bad things though. But that was the last Blade movie that came out. So obviously they're in the void. They've been in the void for a while. But because they never made a Channing Tatum Gambit movie, Gambit says, I think I was born here. And I think that line is so brilliant. He's born in the void because his movie never got made. I love that idea. I love the idea that like the void is a place where Marvel movies go to die. We got Ben Affleck's Daredevil, which isn't he's not in the movie, but they do reference Ben Affleck's Daredevil. So, and he's dead now. Like, not only did his film franchise die, but Cassandra Nova fucking killed him. Now, personally, I am kind of disappointed that we didn't see Nicolas Cage as Ghost Rider. I felt like that would have also been like a perfect fucking member of the others in the void, because obviously that Ghost Rider, his franchise is long dead. The last movie came out in 2012, so it's long dead now. And I think it was said that they did try to include Nicolas Cage, but I think it didn't work out. He wasn't available or something like that. But either way, I'm disappointed that they did not get Ghost Rider. But, either way, I think Gambit, fucking cool. That's awesome. And again, his lines, some of his lines have become, every single line of his is a meme now, Ooh, I'm about to make a name for myself, I ain't know my daddy, but I'm sure I shot out of his dick ready, it's great. And Deadpool, I also found it funny. Despicable Me 4 was playing at the same time as when I went to go see Deadpool Wolverine at the theater. And so I found it funny how Deadpool basically takes a jab at the Minions and says to Gambit, who is your dialect coach, the Minions? So that was pretty fun. So again, I like the inclusion of the others. I think that's really cool. The reveals, like I said, are cringy because, they walk in, and I'm gonna actually demonstrate for you right now. We'll just move this. Okay. Just pretend that I'm Gambit right now, or, I'm Blade. Either one of them works because they both have, cringy walk-ins. Okay. So this is how it goes. Okay. Like they do like the fucking walk in, and then you have like Gambit where it's like you see his card like kind of fly in and he catches it and he's just like goes like, yeah, like it's just awful. Okay, so I just wanted to demonstrate for you how cringy it was. And maybe some people will be entertained by the cringiness. Like some people might think like, oh, I like that it's maybe it is supposed to be, maybe it's supposed to be cringy. I don't know. Laura X23 also returns, and it was cool to see her. Although again, it's like they're trying to be like edgy with her because it's like, oh, we can finally do we can finally go into R-rated territory. So, you got like everyone saying, yeah, let's fucking go. And, and it's just, I don't know, just that line kind of came off as cringy to me because it's like Laura's like it, trying to be edgy because the film is like, yeah, we're in the MCU now. Well, okay, technically it doesn't take place. This is another project. I know I'm going off on all these tangents, but this is another project. Like, what if? It does not take place in the MCU. The majority of the film takes place in the Void or the Fox universe, Deadpool's universe. There's like 2 minutes that actually take place in the MCU. But regardless, it's just like they're trying to be edgy because they're finally in R-rated territory, and I don't know. Some of it comes across as cringy, and like they're trying too hard. Now, one thing I loved about the movie was Wolverine. Hugh Jackman does a great job as Wolverine, and I love what they did with his character. He is responsible for his entire team being killed. He's responsible for the death of all the X-Men, and you really feel it with his performance. I think Hugh Jackman does an amazing job. And honestly, I'll be honest, I was one of the people that didn't really care to see his yellow costume. I just didn't really care all that much. However, I've honestly grown to really like what they did with his yellow costume because, you know, I've never really been someone who's like been desperately trying to be like, Marvel, use more comic accurate costumes. I just kind of think, you know, if they use them, cool, but if they don't, I don't really care. But I will be honest and say that I do really like the look of his costume in this movie, and honestly, I'm really glad that they did do his costume. And one of the reasons why I appreciate the use of the costume is because, you know, this Logan is not the Logan we know from the Fox universe that died in the movie Logan. So that's their opportunity to kind of do whatever they want with this other Wolverine, because he's not the same character. So you can basically do whatever, and you can have him wear his comic costume, his yellow costume. So that's really good. And the reveal of the mask when he flips it up, that's fucking awesome. But again, Deadpool has to ruin it. I just have to say about that scene, that's a good ass reveal, but then it's immediately ruined by Deadpool's dumbass blowjob joke where he's like, what's the wind resistance on those blowjob handles, or whatever he says, I don't know. And it's like, come on. That's some MCU type humor where they stop the movie to tell a joke that I've complained about in the past that happened all the time in Infinity War and Endgame, where they just stop the flow of the movie to tell just an awful joke. And it's like, and this is just the R-rated version of that, you know? Oh, let's just put in some blowjob joke that Deadpool, you know, because we have to have a joke there. And I get it. I get that it's Deadpool. Deadpool is, you know, he's a joke of a character. He never takes anything seriously. I understand it. It makes sense for the character, but it just ruined the moment for me, to be honest. And you also have that kind of weird, like, shot that some people have pointed out, where when they jump through the back of the bus and you have that kind of freeze frame moment, but then when they land and Deadpool hits the ground, Wolverine does not look good there. Like, I don't know what was going on with that shot, but I don't know if it's like the CG, maybe they CG'd him in there, but it just does not look natural. It looks really weird. But, you know, regardless, I seem to be complaining about Wolverine, but again, I think that, like, I love what they did with Wolverine. However, it's the ending that kind of throws it out the window for me, because it's like, okay, so a lot of fans have wanted a Deadpool and Wolverine team-up movie, you know? And that's understandable. I completely get that. You know, it's a cool idea, but I feel like this would have been a good opportunity to kind of, as like a send-off to Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. I felt like it would have been a good closing for Hugh Jackman's Wolverine history with Wolverine, because, you know, he dies in Logan. That's it. You know, we say goodbye to that character, but then, just when you think we won't see him again, he comes back as a different Wolverine in Deadpool Wolverine. And it's kind of like, you get to see kind of like your childhood Wolverine over again. For a lot of people, it's their childhood Wolverine, It's my childhood Wolverine. So, but I felt like they made a big mistake towards the end of this movie because of the whole sacrifice thing. And I've talked about in this review that I think it's a really dumb moment when, you have, dramatic Madonna music playing, which I do like. I have grown to like that. But, you have dramatic music playing and you have like Deadpool and Wolverine. It's like the movie tries to make you think that they're going to die. But it's like, it's so obvious that they're not going to die. But I will say that I honestly think Wolverine should have died in this movie. I think that they should have just left Hugh Jackman's Wolverine to rest, laid his Wolverine to rest for good, and this should have been his last movie because, they finally gave him his yellow costume and the mask, and it looks great. People have been wanting that for like 20 fucking years. It's great. And so this would have been, I feel, the perfect send-off for Hugh Jackman. And you could have just, had like a new Wolverine in the MCU if you wanted to use Wolverine again. But they didn't do that, and I felt like it was a huge missed opportunity, especially because I love that moment right before they go into the room with all the strings of the multiverse, whatever, and they're trying to stop Cassandra Nova. Right before, they have a little moment where, Wade takes off his mask and he says, I've wanted this team up for a long time, and he's getting emotionally. And just before Wolverine is about to sacrifice himself, Deadpool says, "You are the best Wolverine," or "You were the best Wolverine," whatever. And that is such a good line because it's not Deadpool calling Wolverine, "Oh, you're the best Wolverine in the multiverse." No, that moment is just Ryan Reynolds telling Hugh Jackman that he will be the best Wolverine. Or he is the best Wolverine. And that's such a emotional moment. That would have been I thought that would have been a fucking great send-off for Hugh Jackman. Hugh Jackman, as Wolverine, sacrificing himself to save the entire multiverse. But then it is completely ruined when Deadpool throws himself in the way and closes the door on Wolverine, and he is going to sacrifice himself. Because as soon as that happened, immediately that Deadpool's not going to die. They are not going to kill Deadpool. Because, they clearly have a future for Deadpool in the MCU. They want him in the next Avengers movie. They want him to interact with more characters. So he's not going to fucking die. That completely ruins the moment for me. I'm sorry. That completely takes me out of it. And what's even worse, they make it even worse because then Wolverine just busts into the room to help out Deadpool, and then it's like, oh, they're gonna both sacrifice themselves, and immediately no, neither of them are gonna die at that point because again, it's fucking Deadpool. They're not gonna kill off Deadpool, and it would have been stupid if Deadpool survived but Wolverine didn't. So obviously they both make it out okay. God. I mean, look, I understand it from, the perspective of, Disney and Marvel Studios. They love money, I know, so they don't want to kill off Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. They don't want to do that because they want this Wolverine, they want Hugh Jackman to be in the next Avengers movie, to be in Secret Wars, and interact with other characters like Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, And I think that would be cool, honestly. I do think that would be cool. Hugh Jackman and Tobey Maguire interacting with each other because they were both, the big superheroes of the early 2000s. I think that would be cool. But at the same time, I mean, I don't know. I just think, I think, Hugh Jackman should be laid to rest. Not that I'm saying Hugh Jackman is dead in real life. I'm not trying to, I'm not trying to say it that way, but I want his time as Wolverine to be laid to rest. because the guy's been doing it for like 24 fucking years at this point. He's one of the longest running Marvel actors, you know. Wesley Snipes as Blade is now the longest, I think. But Hugh Jackman, I feel like his time should be put to rest, and they should just get a new Wolverine. And it's like Deadpool even makes a joke about this in the movie, where like the kid's like, "Oh my god, it's Deadpool and you're Wolverine," and then Deadpool says, "Yeah, Disney is gonna make him do this till he's 90," and it's like, yeah, I believe that. Like, that's not even a joke to me. You know, Disney is gonna keep on having Hugh Jackman play Wolverine till he's fucking 90. That's not even a joke. I also find it funny because it's like, as soon as like it's revealed that Deadpool and Wolverine made it out okay, you have Paradox's reaction, which is like so relatable to me because that's exactly my reaction. He has risen. Fuck. That's exactly my reaction. As soon as you learn that they made it out, it's like, fuck. Why would you do that? Another funny thing is that I also related to another line after Deadpool and Wolverine are revealed to be okay, and then Peter shows up in his Deadpool costume, and they do some like really cringy jokes, and then Paradox is like, what the fuck is going on? He cuts the silence just saying that, and that's exactly my reaction to like every time the movie is like silent or like has a cringy joke. What the fuck is going on? Like, what are you doing? So that's another thing I thought was funny. So I just wanted to talk about that. I know I've been rambling about Wolverine, but I like Deadpool and Wolverine. I think this is a very entertaining movie. It's got great performances, great moments, but then those moments are just ruined by friggin' cringy ass lines or cringy ass reveals or completely like taking you out of the moment. Like, so that's what I think Deadpool and Wolverine is a fine movie. It's just got some major problems in terms of jokes, in terms of finality. I think the third act is where a lot of my problems lie, I think, because before that it was just cringy jokes were my problem, and but the third act is where it really gets pretty bad. Honestly, I would probably maybe change my ranking of the Deadpool movies now. I after watching it again, I did watch it again. I still think maybe the first film is better, and then maybe Deadpool Wolverine is better than Deadpool 2, but honestly, I don't really know. They're still kind of similar to me, quality-wise, but, I think I love what they did with Wolverine, and so just for that, I kind of want to put it higher than Deadpool 2, but again, still similar quality-wise. But yeah, that's my ranking of all the projects. I really thought this was going to be a short video, but I ended up rambling, as I do. 2025 is looking like it's going to be more interesting. I don't know if it's going to be better, but certainly more interesting. We're getting 9 projects in 2025, perhaps to make up for the lack of projects in 2024. So in January, we first have Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, which I briefly talked about. It does not look that great. I've seen the trailer, and I think they're leaning more... I think it looks like they're leaning a little bit too much into Peter being, just a socially awkward high school nerd, and it just comes across as like, I don't know, they're trying too hard. I think they're trying too hard. I hope the show is good. When the show was first announced, it was, as like Spider-Man Freshman Year, it was originally called, and then the second season was supposed to be called Sophomore Year. It was first being said that it was an origin story for MCU Spider-Man. And as much as I don't really like what they did with MCU Spider-Man's origin, with his whole, like the whole Tony Stark being like his parental figure. I don't like that. However, as much as I don't like that, I think I would rather have the original concept than what we're getting now, because based on the trailer and based on what I've heard about the show now, it is not an origin story for MCU Spider-Man anymore, even though, again, it's for some reason still being called an MCU show, even though it's so clearly not. I would much rather have the original concept for this show back when it was like freshman year, sophomore year, because, you know, at least it would have been interesting to see, to expand on the lore of MCU Spider-Man. It's taking, I guess, like, concepts from the MCU, but again, it's just a different Spider-Man. But again, I'm hoping that the show is going to be good. I'm not like some of the Spider-Man fans that are saying like, oh, this show is bad, so I'm not going to watch it. I'm not going to support any of it. Like, just give us Spectacular Spider-Man Season 3 or Spider-Man 98. And yeah, I agree. I want Spider-Man 98 and I want Spectacular Spider-Man Season 3, but I'm willing to give this new show a chance. I'm not just going to be like, no, I hate that they're doing this, you know. I want to give it a chance. I hope that it's good. Then in February, we have Captain America Brave New World, which I don't really care about, to be honest. I don't think the trailers have looked very interesting. Red Hulk could be interesting, but again, the movie in general just does not look interesting to me, so I really, you know, I hope it's good again. I hope all these projects are good. I feel like that's obvious, but, you know, it doesn't look interesting to me. However, then in March, we're getting my most anticipated project of the year, which is Daredevil Born Again. I've talked about Daredevil before and how much I love it, so I'm interested. It looks like I literally watched the trailer today, and it looks good. It looks pretty good from you know, the short little trailer that we got. You know, they're bringing back the actors. You know, the last time I talked about my thoughts on this show, I think it was back when they had like the original writers before they were fired, and that was when the show was originally supposed to be 18 episodes long instead of 9 episodes like it is now. And it was said that like the original concept, Matt actually doesn't even get into costume until episode 4. And it just did not seem good because they also weren't using Karen or Foggy, which I thought, like, yeah, they're fucking up by not doing that. But it seems like these new writers that are now on the show is looking a lot better, and I'm very glad happy to say that. Karen and Foggy are back. You know, White Tiger is going to be in it. Punisher is back. Bullseye is back. You know, it's looking pretty good. I do not think Spider-Man is going to be in it. As much as I think that would be really cool, I want to see Spider-Man and Daredevil together. I don't think that's going to happen, unfortunately. I would not be surprised if he's not in it. But then, in May, we have the Thunderbolts movie, which, out of all the movies coming out, this is probably the one I'm most interested in, because I really want to see what they do with Bucky, and I also want to see what they do with John Walker as U.S. Agent, because John Walker is one of my favorite new villains introduced in recent years in the MCU. I loved his character and what they did with him in The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. He was the best part of that show. So I'm interested to see what they do with his character in Thunderbolts. Plus, again, it's supposed to be like a dark version of the Avengers, like a team of villains. So that's got me interested. I hope that it's good. Then in June, you have the Ironheart show, which I could care less about. You know, if it's good, great. But whatever, I don't really care. Then that will be the end of Phase 5, apparently, which I think is kind of weird to, like, end a phase, and then, like, immediately the Phase 6 starts, like, the next month after that. They've never really done that before, so that's kind of weird. But Ironheart will end Phase 5, and then Phase 6 will start in July with the release of the Fantastic Four First Steps, which I am kind of interested in, because, you know, I think the Fantastic Four I've enjoyed them in the comics I've read of them. I've read a lot of like Spider-Man teams up with Fantastic Four comics, and I like their dynamic. And so I think this looks interesting. I have hope that it's going to be the best Fantastic Four movie we've gotten so far, because like I haven't watched him. I actually do plan on watching the older Fantastic Four movies before I see this one, because I want to refresh my memory, because I've seen like bits and pieces of those movies, but I actually have not sat down and watched any of those movies all the way through. So I want to do that just so I can be like, I have a good like mindset going into this new film and being like, okay, this is what they did before. Like I want to like familiarize myself more with Fantastic Four before I go to see the new film. Once again, I know I mention Spider-Man all the time, but I think it would be really cool if Spider-Man is in the Fantastic Four First Steps movie, because I really want to see Spider-Man and the Human Torch interact, because they have a relationship in the comics and they have good banter with each other. It's the earliest time Spider-Man has had a dynamic with another superhero is what I'm trying to say. You know, like as early as like issue 1, you know, issue 3, Spider-Man in the comics was like talking with Human Torch. So I really hope that this is the first time that we see Spider-Man and the Human Torch interact in live action. Again, I don't think it's gonna happen. I'm not very optimistic. I think because of like because they'd have to work out a deal with Sony and whatever, so I don't think Spider-Man is going to appear in the Fantastic Four movie, but I do think it would be really cool. Even if it's just like one scene with him talking to the Human Torch, I think that would be awesome. I'd love to see that. Then in August, we have the Eyes of Wakanda animated show, which apparently is only going to be like 4 episodes long, which I think is kind of weird. I don't know why it's going to be so short, especially for an animated show, but okay. I think this could be an interesting show. It's going to be like, you know, past Black Panthers, past stories of Wakanda. So I think that could be. I'm interested to see like the further lore of the MCU. I'm always interested whenever the MCU goes back into the past, like before Captain America and before like Iron Man, like before all the Avengers were a thing. That always interests me. Not one of the projects I'm like super excited for, but you know, could be interesting. Then in October, we're having Marvel Zombies, which I've mentioned. Again, apparently it's only going to be 4 episodes. What the hell? I mean, this is a zombie apocalypse show. You'd think they would make it a little longer. I don't know why it's 4 episodes. I think this show has potential. Again, I want to really like this show because I love the idea of like Marvel characters in a zombie apocalypse setting. But the what if show, the what if episode we got on it, I just did not like. I thought it was super cliche and shit. And then finally, the final project that we have, or that we are getting, is the Wonder Man show. Now, this is in December. I don't know anything about the Wonder Man character, so there's not really much I can say. Again, this is along with like Ironheart. I don't really care, whatever. So yeah, I just wanted to go over all the projects releasing this year. I think there's some interesting ones, and then there's just some whatever ones. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys in the next video. Have a good night.